What is a cookbook coach, and do you need one? Hi, I'm Amanda Pollock, and I am a cookbook and food memoir coach, and I guide people through the cookbook writing process. So, I wanted to share a little bit about what it is that I do, what that process looks like, and kind of answer any questions if you felt like you might be at the point where you wanted to start writing your book and just wanted to know where to go next. So, the first thing I would say that I am is a developmental editor. So, I will tell you exactly the next steps, where we're going, what I'm seeing, the details that we need to add. We get through that in a number of ways of working together, from coaching calls, we have regular deadlines, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I am seeing on the page, what's not there, so on and so forth. That's probably one of the things people get the most nervous about when we start talking about how we'll work together. The deadlines, they're like, well, how do I know what I'm supposed to write? I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I want from you. And I'm going to tell you when you're not giving it to me. But the second thing that I am is your project manager. So I kind of keep all of the small little pieces of your story and all of the other little bits that we have that will come up as we're working together. And so that's my responsibility, to really hold those pieces and remember things from our calls, from the pages that you've submitted, from things that we've talked about, so that you are connecting to your best story. And this is something that you'll hear a lot from me in future videos, or if we work together. I'm passionate about connecting people to their best stories, which to me means you are being as authentic as possible. You are not trying to be anyone else. You're not telling anyone else's story. And you also understand that you are the only person to tell this story, and you own it. So, and that's hard for a lot of people, which leads me to the third point, which is I am your emotional support. It is an incredibly vulnerable thing to write a book. It is incredibly vulnerable to say that you want something that's this big. A lot of people will kind of walk into a space where they say, well, will anybody really care about this? Does anyone really care about me? They'll doubt themselves. There's even things with like their platform, or their social reach and all of that, where people really start to get insecure. And so it's my job I'm going to shoot you straight, but I'm also going to reinforce specific things. Like, I think that one thing that this isn't is it's not cookie cutter, and every single person is different. And so there are absolutely people who aren't ready or prepared to be writing a book, and then there are people who are so ready, but they just need that kind of extra push and motivation. And those are the folks who I work with a lot. So from there, since you kind of know like a breakdown of things I do, where would we start? So a lot of times people come to me, they are food bloggers or creators, stylists. They have a collection of recipes they've been working on, or they have this idea. Most often the book, the first book that people want to write, I say it's probably the thing that you're talking about at a dinner party. Like the thing that you kind of can't get rid of. The thing that people will probably like keep asking you, like, oh, are you still working on that book? How is that going? And so that's where they have the folks who come to me at that point, they have more of a formulated idea because they've been thinking about it, they've been talking about it. It feels very solid in some way, and they're committed to making that the first book. So then from there it's like, okay, but like, how do I start? What do I do? Do I write the cookbook first? Do I do a book proposal? I have no idea. I've been Googling stuff. This is what my friend who sold a cookbook said I needed to do. Like, I am just totally lost. Where do I go? And so most often we are going to start with the book proposal. And so the book proposal is a business plan. And so that's how you sell your book to before you write it. And so you're going to send that to a literary agent. If you already have a literary agent, You're still going to send it to them, but that would be how you would also get a literary agent. And then they send it to a publisher. If you're doing traditional publishing, I would say for honestly any other type of publishing, I would still do a book proposal. A book proposal for a nonfiction book, and especially a cookbook, is so essential because you have your marketing and your promotional plan in there. You know your target audience. You know the competitive titles. It also, you map out your entire cookbook in there because you have chapter summaries, and then you'll also do your table of content. So you're going to have all of your recipes, everything in there. You really can't lose. It's super not sexy. Like, it's not sexy at all. Typically, it can take about 6 months. It could even take longer. You want to get it right, though. This is where people really want to rush because they just want to get it to a literary agent. And I'm going to say that if you rush this process and you just start sending it to agents, the world is small. So you want to make sure that you're putting out your best stuff and that you're also not just trying to go too fast. And this is something that a lot of first-time authors will do, is they just want to go fast because they want their book to get out there immediately. Listen, it's not going to get out there immediately. There's very few times where that might actually happen. But you want to take your time because this is your name on it. And, you know, maybe an extra month or two is going to make the difference in refining. So, but it typically, I would say, takes about 6 months, depending how fast you're working, how hard you're working on it. And then what happens is we'll identify, you know, a handful of agents. You might already have some connections with that, whatnot. And then you're going to send out those query letters, which that can be part of our process, or you can write it separately. There's a number of ways that some of this can work, but oh my goodness, I totally forgot. I start all of this with you writing a magazine pitch. So I come from magazines. I worked in food magazines for a long time, and I really believe that every good book idea is in a magazine pitch, especially a cookbook. So we'll work on some stories. You're gonna send those out to some publications who we identify that would be good. But you really kind of get the crux of what your book is about, who your audience is, why this matters. It's a really great exercise, and clients have had their pitches picked up by places like Food 52 and others. And I think that it also really helps, like, for you to begin to establish, like, you becoming your own publicist. You putting your stories out there so that you're gaining momentum as you're also working on this proposal, because it's only going to add more clips in your portfolio. It's only going to help you when then you eventually go and, you know, like when your book is being sold, hopefully, you know, I can't promise anything, okay? But it's such good practice. And so I really want you to take our time and be able to use it in so many different ways in your career, because even though this is, you know, just a cookbook, it's really not just a cookbook. Think about the longevity of your career. Think of where you want to go. Think of the people who you want to reach. So that's kind of like the book proposal process. And then with book coaching, it would be just a different process. So it's a little slower. It's not as intense. I mean, it is very, I would say, attention to detail. You need to be invested, but you're just using different parts of your brain. If you've already done the book proposal, great. Then we have everything mapped out. And again, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to be doing. I'm going to tell you your revisions. We will adapt kind of methods if we need to, you know, because a lot of it could be very research heavy. It could be just depending on what kind of book you're doing. Maybe the head notes, you're really looking for something special. And so that's where we're going to be working together to get your best stuff out. But that's just a little taste of what a cookbook coach is, what it is I do, how you can kind of tell if maybe you're ready to do that kind of work. If you have questions or you are ready, to get moving on your book, find those links below. I would love to hear about your project. I would love to chat. And thank you for tuning in. And